again, a lot of you may not have been to one of these before, but one of the things that we know, studies show that people who live in communities like Terwilliger Plaza, they tend to live longer, be happier, healthier, less lonely, and just have a better higher sense of safety. So, but even knowing that, there's still, relatively speaking, a low percentage of people who choose to live in communities. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have this panel today, so that you guys can hear from some of our current members, so they can share with you, now that they're here, they're on the other side, if you will. They can tell you, what it's really like. So, and answer some of your questions and talk about some of your concerns. So Jojo, I'm gonna have Jojo just introduce our panelists and just read a short bio for each one, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Lovely. Happy holidays, everybody. So first we've got Dick Teutsch and Barbara Jennings. They moved into Terwilliger Plaza in September. They are in the Heights building. They decided to join us early while they're waiting for their apartment to be available in Parkview. Dick is known to say, why move once when you can move twice? Together, they founded a registered investment advisory firm called Arcadia Investment Advisors here in Portland in the early 90s. Dick continues to work at the farm part-time, and Barbara serves as a volunteer for the Trauma Intervention Program, which offers support for people through unexpected death of loved ones. Then we've got Roger Wirt. Roger's a native of Portland, had a career as a research analyst working for Oregon's Public Health Division, the Massachusetts Department of Public Welfare, and taught psychology at Boston College, Newton College, and the University of Massachusetts. Roger's also a member of Terwilliger's Board of Directors. Stephanie Tung, she was born in Hong Kong and first came to the States to attend college at Bozeman and Missoula in Montana. Stephanie's career in medical technology brought her to Portland, first to train at Emmanuel Hospital, then to OHSU to work in the infectious diseases department. After living and working in Japan, Seattle, and Eugene, she came back again to Portland to work at OHSU. Here at Terwilliger, she is involved in many committees, including the Welcoming Committee, the Disaster Preparedness Committee, and is an active volunteer when the need arises. Then we've got Nancy Gubran. She's originally from Massachusetts. Nancy came to Portland in 2020 after a long career in fashion as a clothing designer in LA. Her decision to move to Portland was driven by a desire to be closer to her daughter and to her two grandchildren who live here in Portland. Nancy currently lives at Terwilliger, also in the Heights. She'll be moving into Parkview this fall. She's an active painter and is living the life of an artist, exploring her craft, defining herself as a learner for life. There you go. Thank you to all your panelists for your precious time today.
Thank you, Jojo. Yes, and thank you. This is a little bit of work goes into putting these on. So yes, thank you, panelists. All right, let's go ahead and start. So again, the kind of the myths that we're going to go over today, these are things that my team hears over and over and over from people that we're working with. And one of them is, a lot of people feel like a retirement community it essentially takes away their freedom and their privacy and their purpose, like they kind of lose themselves if they come to a community. So I want to kind of have our panelists share what their experience is with that. And maybe Nancy, if you want to go ahead and kick us off.
Okay, well, I don't believe that that's accurate, because you have the choice of either living here as an apartment dweller or participating in the events surrounding you. There's a wonderful wellness center, which I love, lots of yoga classes and Tai Chi. And other than that, you can do whatever you want to do.
Thank you, Nancy. How about Barbara and Dick? What are your thoughts on the taking away freedom concern?
Go ahead.
Well, I agree with Nancy that that's a myth. And I just feel that I have more freedom living here at Terwilliger than I had living independently, because so many things that I had to kind of manage and be responsible for are taken care of. And it gives me more time to do the things that I choose to do. And I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I think moving here and having some time freed up allows me at this stage in life to begin to engage in volunteer activities and give back. And moving here to the edge of the downtown just opens up so many opportunities to do that. Our city took a shock here a few years ago with COVID and the unrest, and it is recovering. And there's some really positive signs of that, but there are many things that a volunteer can do. One thing I'm doing right now is volunteering for a nonprofit located in the city, which is working on homelessness for senior citizens, focused on those people 65 and older who are living, for the most part, on the streets in tents. And it's just very gratifying. I have the opportunity to work with some of the people that are transitioning out of tents and into housing, and then also helping with their finance committee and so forth. So, and there's other opportunities there as time permits that I hope to explore.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dick. And thank you for that work you're doing. We all benefit, not just the people you're helping. So thank you.
Can do whatever I want to do here. And it's wonderful to have someone come and clean my place every other week. It so free me up to do even more things. I do more volunteer work here, and I can go and do whatever I want to do. I'm so busy with all the wellness center programs, a lot of them, I love it. And so I do more exercise than before I moved here. And then I'm so busy that my son complains that I'm the most difficult person to get hold of to make appointment to do things with, because you're always so busy with so many things going on. So I love it here. It's wonderful.
I love that, Stephanie. A good problem for your son to have, I guess. Okay, well, I think that's a good take on that first myth. Let's talk about the second one. That one is, again, we hear this a lot, is, I'm just going to hang tight, and I'm going to, when and if I need healthcare, I'll just bring it into my house. I'm sticking it out here. And I know Dick and Barbara in particular, you have some experience with this, recent experience. So would you mind sharing some of your input there?
Sure. So this series of events began to happen last year, just a bit over a year ago, and circumstances that began to affect longtime friends of ours caused us to reassess the timing and the what if about moving to a retirement community. One was a friend of 30, well, for Barbara, 40 years. He was her OB doctor, delivered her baby, and then I got to know him in Boise, Idaho, where we all lived at the time. And very suddenly, he began to experience health problems, and dementia just hit him like a ton of bricks. And he forgot how to put on a shirt. He forgot how to take a shower. And so they ended up with 24/7 home health care at the rate of about $6,000 a week, which was not really what they had expected in their choice to age at home. So they did then begin to search for some sort of a memory care facility where he could go. And it took some time because at first there were none available. Eventually, he transitioned into a memory care facility and died of complications of his physical and mental health shortly after. And then one that really impacted us, and it's a follow-on to what happened in my life about almost 7 years ago now. I had a diagnosis of bone cancer, and that is totally in remission now and not of concern. But it caused Barbara and I to reassess our idea of, we would tell ourselves we don't want to move too early to a facility, but we don't want to move too late. So then again, in that same time frame, a little over a year ago, a friend here in Portland, 30 some years, had been dealing with Parkinson's disease. And through that, he really began to lose strength. They waited to leave their home and began to look around, and they rented the last room available in a very nice place in Northwest Portland, but it provided an apartment and room or meal service, but no healthcare, no therapy, no assessment of any kind. So our friend fell in the elevator, no one there with any medical training. They called 911. He went to the ER at Good Sam. They said, you don't need a hospital. You need some physical therapy. You're fine. You just need to build your strength up and you'll be fine. So then the same thing, they could not find a facility. The hospital said, we don't have the ability to give you that sort of therapy here, but we will find you a place. So our friend waited, and 29 days later, he was discharged into a facility. Over that time, he had really lost all his muscle mass. He lost control of his bowels, control of his bladder. Physical therapists came to see him in the new place and basically said, I'm sorry, sir, you have no muscle left for us to work with. So he decided with his family, put himself on hospice, told us he would stop eating and drinking the following Monday, which he did. And he died 10 days later. And we, Barbara and I, are convinced that had he lived in a retirement, a retirement community like Terwilliger, he could have come back home, gotten the care, the therapy, the ongoing assessments and help he would have needed, and would likely still be with us today. So anyway, sorry if this is going on for a bit, but just to finish that up. So that motivated us. We had been over time since my cancer diagnosis on the waiting list at 3 retirement communities. For various reasons, we had taken our names off 2 of those, but we remained on the list at Mirabella. So after those events, we called Mirabella, said, if we needed to move for some reason, how long would it take us? We had been on the waiting list for over 6 years at that point. And they said, in the neighborhood of 2+ years, we'll have something available for you. So that really made us realize that it is very easy to just wait too late and then end up in a very difficult spot.
Thank you, Dick. And I think you had mentioned that with Parkview, knowing the exact open date and the, you know when you're going to move in. So
Exactly.
which
That
frankly, to be honest, that's a reason why a lot of people are choosing Parkview, because of that exact thing, because there are very long wait lists. So let's see. Thank you very much for sharing those stories. They're obviously extremely heartfelt. Let's see, any of the other panelists, oh, there you are, Roger. Roger, Stephanie, or Nancy, anything else to add to the, I'm going to wait and bring healthcare into my home when I need it? I don't know if that was a conversation, Stephanie, you and your son had when you were thinking about coming here or not.
Oh, my son can't wait to move in here, and he was eligible to move here, and he's just turned 51. So anyway, and he's really happy that I found this place. He can see that I'm happy, and it gives him really kind of feels good about that His mother is happy living where she lives, and she feels good about it. And we still talk to each other, and he comes and have dinner with me sometimes. And we still go out and do things. I still go to his place. I still go out and do my other activities. I make many new friends right at Terwilliger Plaza. They're all really wonderful neighbors here. I love living here. And it's earlier the movie in the better, because it amortized or pay in money, which is really good. So the longer you can enjoy living in this community, to me, it's a lot better.
Thank you, Stephanie.
I don't know if this is the time to mention my stitches in the back. Would it be best to wait?
Well, yeah, that's kind of right
is
along
part
with,
of
yeah, go
healthcare.
for it.
Less, it's certainly less dramatic than what Dick told us about, but by the same token, living alone is always a problem if you get sick or have an issue. And I had a basal cell removed on my back, and it was at my scapula, so impossible to bandage. And just being able to call the nurse, have her come up in 5 minutes, re-bandage the wound, and then leave, and know that I can call her tomorrow is such a relief. It's a relief to my children. It's a relief to me. And also living on one floor, I have to say, when I first moved up to Portland, I lived in a townhome with 3 flights of stairs. That became completely undoable. I had to get out of there. Those stairs were killing me. So, and my daughter was always afraid of a fall. And of course, we, as we get older, are prone to falls, and they can change our lifestyle. So it's wonderful to be in an area where you know that help will arrive as soon as something happens.
Thank you, Nancy. And she's referring to the nurse in our on-site clinic that we have. So that's wonderful. That's a great success story. All right, so down to myth number 3. We kind of covered a little bit of this, but some people think, well, if I go to a senior living community, it's going to be dull and lifeless. And I think, Nancy, when we were preparing for this, you kind of shared, sometimes there's a confusion on what is senior living, and, people in their mind think it's, one of those terrible nursing homes that you see in the movies that's got dark corridors and wheelchairs everywhere. And the fact of the matter, that's just simply not the case. So maybe, Roger, if you want to talk a little bit about your experience being here and how it is not dull and lifeless. And also the other thing that people say a lot is, I'm just not old enough. I'm too young.
Okay, well, it's hard to know where to start, but I would say it's not dull and lifeless. I moved in, it's kind of an atypical situation. I was still working, and the building I had been living in was sold, and I had kind of an immediate need to make a change. I was basically looking for an apartment, but this seemed to make a lot of sense. It's a straight apartment deal. And then I discovered that the extensive service pack. My parents had lived here, so I was pretty familiar with the building. I'd watched it constructed when I was a teenager in Portland years ago. But boy, dull and lifeless. You've probably heard people say they get busier in retirement than when they're working. And my calendar is kind of a checkerboard with all sorts of different meetings, some of which are committees here, some of which are external. Interested in talking with Dick sometime about his volunteer work. I'm involved in several things that are out and around the city and have links to what's going on in the plaza, but it's the diversity that we have in the programs is pretty extraordinary. It's we have a Saturday morning series that started, what, 2 or 3 decades ago. It used to be the men's breakfast, as a kind of refuge for men living here because who are a minority. But it's become a community event, and the quality of the speakers is quite high. And that's regular every week. It's run by a member committee. The whole thing is initiated and managed by the members. But we've had distinguished speakers from any number of fields, people from most levels of government, responsible senior positions, subject matter experts on a range of topics, and people from a variety of different kinds of institutions around the city discussing their work, and everything from volcanoes to various public policy issues. So that's really pretty stimulating. And then we have several film series, the various interest groups around books and educational videos. I think there's a group going on right now that's looking at the history of language. I haven't had time to show up for those. It looks like a fascinating series with I think one of the people who's been involved in sponsoring some of that has had a career as an anthropologist. But that's kind of really the tip of the iceberg. There's just lots of things going on. So it's, what can you say? It's hard to summarize. Really, just the, and that, so maybe that should give you an impression of that. My trying to come up with a final editorial phrase that, it's but it's really quite a bit of fun. Also the diversity of it. I mean, we have people doing very different kinds of things with art work, some people involved. We have kind of our own in-house theater activity. The exercise program is pretty good. I've appreciated the diversity of our staff, and we've had people leading exercise classes who have backgrounds in dance and boxing. We had somebody in here who was a jiu-jitsu expert, and there's, aside from the fact that it gets us up out of our chairs, the entertainment value of that is pretty good. There's no two sessions that are alike. The lady who has the boxing background came very close to being a national champion. So she brings a fresh perspective to a lot of things, and but it's anything but boring around here. I mean, and then the conversations that you just I think any of these dedicated senior facilities deliberately set up places where people can have conversations and lounges and so forth. We have a group that has a happy hour pretty frequently, and I think that's lively forum for discussing all kinds of things. A little coffee shop that, and you never know what's going to come up. It's people bring all sorts of concerns and issues. So it's personally, I appreciate the proximity to downtown and the kind of opportunities for other, outside the premises activity, for people in independent living. If you want to take a walk, you have your choice of walking through hills, there's wooded trails up into the hills. You go right downtown into the urban core, you go down by the river, or to wander through these suburbs that are sprinkled in the hills of Portland that are kind of just interesting for the contours of the land and the varied architecture. And those are all within a few blocks. We had 2 universities, one to the right and one to the left. Pretty, I mean, they're universities for Pete's sake. So the Portland State has a program where people can audit classes if you're senior for just a nominal registration charge. And so that is not dull and boring.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roger. Yeah, those are great examples. Yeah, so something for everyone. Any other panelists want to add anything else to that myth?
Well, there is also a lively arts and residence program. And Terwilliger Plaza has many artists, and it's so inspirational to have discussions with them and to think about what we can do to bring art to the wider community. We're promoting, we'll be promoting a class soon, Marie and I, who is another artist, a pastel artist who lives above me. And we're trying to just hope that people will participate in that, even those who don't necessarily feel artistic.
Thank you. All right, now the next myth we hear again a lot is, I will wait to move until I can't live in my house on my own. And so this one's a tough one for my team, because we see, like Dick already shared, time and time and time again, where people simply wait too long, and then they can't come in independent living. So I would like the panelists to address, why they felt the need to not wait until you can live on your own.
I'd just like to say that for us, Dick and I have a large family, but we don't have any of our adult children living here in Portland. And we very intentionally wanted to take matters into our own hands and make our own decisions for ourselves while we could, so that we could, in our minds, and other people say this too, give a gift to our children of not having to decide that, not having to try to figure that out, especially if there's a crisis and they're all out of town and they have busy lives. And we did not want them having to step in and figure things out. And we watch that among our adult children's in-laws and our own friends, when there are things that happen and then the kids have to come and make all kinds of decisions, and it's so difficult, and they never feel they're doing enough or the right things because they really truly don't know. And when we have a health crisis, we know that we can have care right here, and our kids can come and be with us and not have to find care for us. They can just be with us. And that's what we want. So that's why, a big part of why we made the decision to do what we did.
It's true. I think most of us feel like it's a gift to our kids. It's an early gift.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I like Stephanie's son, who's very happy she's here.
Yes.
I can't even think of one situation where a son or a daughter is not happy that their parents have made this choice. Now, occasionally we have the son or the daughter who's like, oh, there goes my inheritance, so, but that's a whole different story. So yeah. And I guess it is that loneliness factor. Our team here, and bless COVID's heart, people over the last 2 or 3 years, they are really lonely in their homes. And even if they're not like super outgoing people before COVID hit, COVID really, I don't need to tell you guys this, but it really put a damper on things and people's loneliness factor. So, and I think, Nancy, I think you said it at one time, is you can participate or not. Just stay in your home if you don't, it's not like you're required to,
Exactly.
go to the, dining room. We don't have mandatory meal plans. We don't keep track of how many activities and how many exercise classes you went to. Although our wellness director probably would like to do that. She wants everyone to work out all the time, which is great, but we don't keep track. So, anyway, it is, there's a lot of different factors when you're looking at, why not wait? So any other thoughts on that one?
Not really.
All right, thank you. So the last one, and then we'll open it up for questions. A full service or continuing care retirement community doesn't make financial sense for me, especially since my home is paid off. So this is a common thought as well. So I'll let the panel, I know Dick and Barbara, you specifically had talked about the things you considered, and I know others did too. So maybe talk about how you did a comparison on determining whether this was a financially viable thing.
Well, I guess for us, the financial aspect of it and the comparison goes back to what we mentioned earlier about those two friends of ours. The man in Boise who was 24/7 healthcare at $6,000 a week, so 24,000 for 4 weeks, a little more than that for the month, and that's in Idaho. I'm certain that in Portland it would be somewhat more than that. And then there's the consideration of trying to get into some facility, not being able to, and have something like that 24/7 care go on and on. Also, stories we hear is how difficult it is for a family member to make sure that that 24/7 healthcare is in place and that someone doesn't call in sick or someone doesn't get a better job offer. The examples we know of, there's always instances like that. So then the cost of dealing with that and making sure everything is taken care of, plus then finding whatever facility might have room for you and spending perhaps quite a bit more than you would have to if you lived in a retirement community. That was the main financial calculus for us, I think, just to be here and be confident. We are prepaying for healthcare. That's part of our monthly association dues here. And so comforting to know that that will be there for us when we need it.
I have a comment from far west Texas, if you would. And good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, as the case may be. One of the things that we considered when we made the choice to eventually move up to Parkview was that if we had to call one more plumber, one more roofer, one more carpenter, one more yard guy, it was going to drive us all nuts. And as we got older, and I'm a good bit older than my wife, it's really difficult to manage the upkeep of a house where, God bless Parkview, they get to manage it for us. And as my wife so lovingly said, if something goes wrong up there, I just pick up the phone and call maintenance.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
I'd just like to say that to follow on what John is saying, we too we loved our home. We loved living in it, but it just became such a sinkhole for more and more repairs and upkeep. And if you don't do it before you try to sell it, you're likely going to have to do it before any sale is going to go through. So if you might want to put some things off, but usually it catches up with you. And I absolutely love having a 4-digit number that I can pick up my in-house phone and call, and I can get help for all kinds of things that normally I would have to go find independent contractors to take care of. And I'm so grateful. The other thing that, and Dick will laugh at this, but that I absolutely love is, and this has never happened to me in my adult life, I can put out my sheets and towels outside my door in the morning. And later the same day, they come back on a lovely table down the hall, folded, ironed, and ready for me to take care of. It is such a treat.
Definitely. That is the treat.
Mhm.
It's magic. I just say it's magic, and it happens anytime I want to put those pillowcases out there. They go away and they come back clean and ironed. Hooray.
It really is magic.
Yep.
Nancy, I know you had shared some things about all of the different pieces and parts of keeping a condo or a home that you looked at.
Well, my home was in Los Angeles, and I was very reluctant to part with it. And the draw was coming up to Portland to be with my grandchildren. And then what I realized was, as beautiful and attached as I was to that place, it's simply a shell. It doesn't hold my family. It doesn't hold those children. And if people would only recognize that a house is really, that thing you're holding on to is really only as good as the people in it. And once they're gone, it's nothing. I remember, quite frankly, when my husband passed away and I was sitting in my home, not my condo, but my home, by myself, because my daughter had moved to San Francisco. And I thought, this is horrible. Why am I here? I'm so lonely. It just isn't worth it. And I think we need to get that mindset that home that we're so attached to is important. It's really not. It's the people who are in it.
Mhm.
And what you get from coming here is the community and the ability to have a drink with somebody or go out to coffee, should you wish. It's very important. I think at our stage of life, community is one of the more important things.
Thank you, Nancy. And I think you had also mentioned, as you're comparing, you can't just look at your mortgage or taxes. It is, the upkeep, it is the HOA fees, it is the assessments that you might have.
Oh, yes, that's right. And
All
those
of-
assessments can be very costly.
Yeah. All right. Well, and we definitely can go on and on about this one. If I don't know, Stephanie or Roger, if you have anything quick to add, and then we can move to the Q&A. No, all right.
I think Portland is a very friendly city, and it's not the same as some other cities. So I think Portland is a good place. And then if you move from other states, other places, you can get comfortable here. And we have great public transportations. If you don't have your car, you can go places easily. And it's a great, and it's also near downtown and all kinds of nice restaurants, nice places to walk around in. And there's a bus stop right in front of the building, and you can go anywhere with public transportations.
We tell people that all the time. Thank you, Stephanie.
Teresa, could I make a comment about community, which was
Yes.
another part of William's comments, and not speaking necessarily to the noise, because we live in the Heights, and like Nancy, we hear absolutely nothing outside or inside. But I'd just like to make a comment about community and bringing at this point, the two different buildings together. Number one, everything is connected by sky bridges, which I got to tell you is one of the most wonderful aspects, because you can get anywhere without having to go outside. And there's going to be a sky bridge to the new building. But the other thing that I've observed and we've participated in are the very intentional ways that not just Terwilliger as member services or anything, but as members and member driven, an amazing intention of bringing people together. And there are things I had never heard of. We were invited to the tower by the membership committee, welcoming committee to, and they intentionally bring together X number of new Heights people and X number of new tower people for a very lovely informal couple hour gathering where you can just sit and get to know each other. And they really want to do that. They have potluck dinners that are similarly arranged with people from the tower and people from the Heights, a certain number of them, bring it together in a small group and get people to know each other. There's a weekly happy hour that everyone's invited to. And it's a real array of people who come. And you can be involved in that or not as you wish. And there's already talk about how are we going to integrate Parkview into the community. And there's real intention. And that comes both from, you know, the hired people here that we are so fortunate to have and the members, because this is a community and it's intentionally attempting to bring us all together. And I appreciate it.
Thank you, Barbara. Yes, that is, I mean, when Heights opened, it was a concern. And so we definitely know that and know that, you know, and frankly, all the Parkview people, and if the Parkview people are on here, they want to be welcomed and they want to be a part of the community. So it's pretty nice. Let's see, Mary Ann, do you have a question? I think you have to unmute.
Muted.
There we go. This is, after the last few years, I've realized that I'm very, very sensitive to politics and things like that. And is there a kind of a general political leaning, or is it well distributed politically? Am I going to get overwhelmed by any one political faction or anything?
That's a great question. Any of the panelists feel like they can answer that? If not, I would be happy.
Roger.
Did you say Roger? So Roger got nominated.
Yeah, she was volunteering me. There's a norm of maintaining a kind of apolitical decorum about the place, the way there would be in a lot of nonprofit. In fact, and we are a nonprofit corporation, and so as you know, given our 501c3 status, we're prohibited from engaging in various forms of partisan involvement. On the other hand, among the members, there's very lively cultural life. We have a very active chapter of the League of Women Voters here, who undertakes to inform people about politics, and the substance of any number of our programs involves addressing current social issues. So when you have people in the same room who hold fairly different views, and you have a speaker who's presenting on a sensitive topic, then that's a test of that decorum, and I think it holds pretty well. It's an established norm. So I don't know whether that's responsive to the question, but we are interested in diversity and welcome having a variety of points of view. I think the Plaza community would not welcome someone who brought a fundamentally destructive approach to so maybe that's enough without going in. You know, we could have a 2-day seminar on this. It would be interesting to do, but that's not what we came here for today. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would just say to that it's really important that you, if you're considering a community like Terwilliger Plaza, that you do the best you can to visit that community more than one time, preferably 3 or 4 or 5 times. I know Dick and Barbara, they deposited on Parkview. We're not living here, obviously, because Parkview is not open. They live down on the waterfront, and they start coming to events and checking us out. And frankly, that was they still could have canceled their deposit. They were still doing their due diligence. And even if you're not a Parkview depositor, you can still come here. Let us know, come lunch, come have, happy hour with us, come to our Friday night music, come to our Saturday forum. you decide for yourself, you come meet people here. I can tell you that every community in Portland has a unique personality of their own. And from what we have heard from people who visited multiple communities and from our membership here, I believe that Terwilliger tends to lean a little bit more towards the left than some of the other communities. It's not a requirement to live here, of course, but that's our gut feeling, and what, that's what people tell us. Especially, like I said, if they've been to other communities and spent some time there and had multiple visits there, a lot of people tell us they choose us because they felt more welcome here, and it felt more open and accepting of different, whatever it may be. So anyway, that's what we know about that. So thank you.
Lisa, if I could add one thing there, I mentioned before that Barbara and I were on 3 other waiting lists, and it was there was a real contrast between their approach, I guess you might say, from a marketing point of view, and Terwilliger. Those 3 waiting lists, and one of them for over 6 years, we were never invited to participate in any activities. We requested on occasions, could we come meet some residents, do some things, and they did that. The contrast here, when we put our deposit down, I think Jojo gave us a fob and said, you have access to the gym and the other activities here 24/7. And any and all of the things on the calendar, the committees, the interest groups, the book clubs, you're welcome to come and attend. So we started off, and I was doing the gym, which is kind of an isolated activity. And I came one day about 4 o'clock, happened to be on a Wednesday. So I came in the door and started down the hall to the gym. And I fell in step with a man who lives in the tower. And my practice then was, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions about Terwilliger? How long have you lived here? And so on and so forth. So anyway, chatted with this guy. We went down to the elevator where you go up to the gym. And he said, where are you going anyway? And I said, I'm going to the gym and work out. And he said, no, come with me. I'll buy you a martini at happy hour. And so then I went to this happy hour, which is comprised of Tower and Heights people, and just met so many diverse people and had such a great time that Barbara and I started coming to those happy hours pretty frequently after that. So I encourage anybody who is close enough, come and get involved and meet the neighbors. And as Jojo said, make sure you want to live with these people before you commit.
It's true. I mean, the last thing we want to do is have you move in and a week or a month or 2 months later go, this is not my place. So trust me, it's better to do the homework now and spend the time now. And plus you'll have a complimentary meal or 2 and maybe even a martini. So any other questions?
Mary Ann, did you have a follow-up question?
Just a really quick one. So the way that one would be welcomed to do that is to have put down a deposit or something. I mean, how would one know that there was activities going on, or be welcome to do that?
That's a great question, Marianne. So our team, our marketing membership team, you can contact us and we will, if you're not a depositor just yet, we do ask that you let us know you're coming so that we can let the reception desk know you're coming. And then ideally, we'd love to have you, have one of our current members at least be aware that you're coming. So, if you have any questions about where is the auditorium or where do I go for happy hour, someone would be here to help you, but you just let us know when you want to come, and we can also send you a calendar. Oh, here's one person asked about, can we move into assisted living here without already being a member in our independent living? And the answer to that is no. It's no most of the time. Once in a blue moon, if we have enough space in our assisted living, we may choose to bring someone in who's not already a member, but that's pretty rare. One of the things that happens here when you become a member is if and when you need that continuing care, it should be available for you. So if we filled up our assisted living to the brim, 100% occupied with people from outside of the community, that would not be fair to you because you paid to become a member. Now, some people also ask, and we did get a few questions about memory care. I actually asked our social service director to join, but for some reason she's having a hard time getting into the meeting. So, the question is, can I be guaranteed that when I need care, there's going to be a home available? Typically, we do have a home available. It may not be the exact size or the exact location of the home you want, but most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, our members don't wake up on a Friday morning and say, oh, today's the day I need assisted living. Typically, it's something is going on and you know about it, and then you can get our team involved. Again, that's what we're here for. Especially, don't think you have to make all these choices and decisions and navigate this complicated healthcare world with insurance and all that stuff on your own. We have the social service director, we have the health services team, we have a nurse, we have our VP of health services. So there's a lot of resources here for you. So if you think you're starting to maybe someday in the near future need a little bit more care, let's talk, because we do want to have a home for you, and we do frankly want to have the home you want. It's not fun to move. We don't want you to have to move into one assisted living home and then 6 months later move to the one you really want. So all of it's part of a planning and a process that we can help you navigate as you need it. So a few people have asked about memory care and how do we handle, take care of people with memory loss. We here at Terwilliger Plaza do not have a designated 100% locked memory care unit. We might add one later after we're done with Parkview. We actually own the lot across the street here, so we will be adding additional healthcare. Part of the reason we don't have a memory care section is for most people with memory loss, they do not require the 24/7 locked, kind of, I don't want to call it jail, but you are locked behind closed doors, and it's, I don't know how many of you have been in a memory care area, but typically they're not ideal. And for most people, they're not necessary. They don't need that type of memory care. What they need is a supportive system where, they can continue to be in the community, continue to be with their friends, but have some other additional supportive things that can happen. Now that's different for everybody. So our social service director, Katrina, she's incredible. She and the health services team can help determine on a case-by-case basis, what does this person need? Because it is different for everyone. Everyone, has dementia in a different way, and some people have other struggles that others don't. So that's how we do memory care. We don't really believe that they should be like shunned away behind a locked door and, never to be seen again type of thing. We want, and most people really thrive when they continue to be integrated in the greater community. Any other questions? Oh, this is a quiet group. Let's see. Okay. Oh, wait, there's one question in the chat room that just went to me. What is the Sky Bridge? So the Sky Bridge, well, there's several Sky Bridge. Well, I shouldn't say several. There's one that right now goes from the Tower building to the Heights building. So you don't have to go outside. There will be one right behind me here crossing 6th Avenue, and it will go from Parkview to the Heights building. So you don't have, the 6th Avenue is a pretty busy street, so you don't want to have to cross that if you don't absolutely have to, especially if it's pouring down rain. So it's a covered Sky Bridge where you can walk from building to building. The Parkview Sky Bridge, frankly, will be gorgeous. I was on it the other day, went inside the building, and it's going to essentially be a beautiful art gallery. So that's going to be a very nice place to gather. Any other questions?
I think we just got a new question in the chat.
Oh, the storage question that comes up every time. So we do have some storage in Tower and Heights, additional storage outside of your home. There is at this point in time, no additional cost involved for that. It is on a first come, first serve. I don't think we've ever had to say no to someone, but it is based on availability. Parkview does not have additional storage, and it will not. We just simply don't have room in that building for additional storage units. So we are most likely we're going to set up some sort of a situation with a nearby storage company where you can have your items stored at an offsite storage place. Any other questions? All right, well, I do want to let you all know of a couple things. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Stephanie, Roger, Nancy, Dick, and Barbara. I thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and, just being really honest and, sharing some very, very sad things, but it's true. And I really, really encourage you to take, especially what Dick said, to heart, because you do not want to get stuck, and you do not want to put your children in a bind trying to find you a place at the last minute. And, you could end up in a place that you really didn't want to go to. So sounds a little bit like a scare tactic, but unfortunately it's the truth. So thank you again. And then I do want to let you know, we have another Zoom coming up in January. It is going to be hosted by our CFO, Judy O'Donnell. It is all about, what does it mean to buy into a CCRC? She's really incredible. She's actually done a couple of these in the past for us, and many of you may have seen them because we send out these recordings a lot. But I would encourage you, especially if you're considering depositing in any of our buildings or becoming a member anytime soon, because she will be talking about the tax deductions and the benefits there from being in a community like this. And then in February, we intend to do, I don't have it set for sure, but we intend to do a webinar or a Zoom on real estate and have a real estate agent come and share with you some ideas about, getting your house ready. And like Dick and Barbara said, don't put off that maintenance, because real estate agents, when they come to help you sell your house, they're gonna tell you to fix some stuff. Now, do you have to fix everything? And that's what, a good real estate agent will go over with you, what you really have to fix and what you could probably get away without fixing. So, so that'll be in February. And definitely, I also want to show you guys, I am in our beautiful design center, which is our Parkview Design Center. We do have a full model kitchen and bath over here. So for any of you who have not already visited, or if you have and you want to come back, that's fine too. But do reach out and we would be happy to host you here and you come and take a look. And then we can also take a tour of the entire community if you'd like. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. I wish all of you happy holidays, and we'll hope to see you at another event, or maybe here for a tour or happy hour or dinner. So thank you so much and take care.